Well, let's turn to the Zimmerman trial again. Very interesting testimony yesterday. We have on the line now Jonna Spilbor, who's an attorney and a legal analyst. You've seen her all over television. And Jonna, it's good to have you on the program this morning.
Brian Wilson, thank you so much for having me. I have missed you, and I'm glad to be here this morning.
Well, that is very sweet of you. I've missed you as well. Okay, so listen, we were talking earlier this morning about the trial. Now, I want to be honest. I'm not one of these guys who has sat down and watched every moment of testimony.
Sure.
I have followed the news coverage. I have seen the pertinent clips of the day. And what I'm drawing from this is that the testimony thus far seems to be backing up the story that was first laid down on day one by Zimmerman.
And you would be correct in that assessment, Brian. I'm gonna say that yesterday, in particular, was really a pivotal day in this trial for the defense, and here's why. In the beginning, when the crime occurred, George Zimmerman, on his own, unaided by an attorney, voluntarily participated in a reenactment video with the police. A reenactment video, and he also gave basically a very long statement about what happened. Now, as a defense attorney, we cringe when we hear that we have a potential defendant giving a statement to the police without the presence of counsel. But I have to tell you, this video really presented George Zimmerman in a human light, a very credible light. The facts that he lays out for this police officer, who was questioning him, not like an attorney would, but obviously like an investigator would, really sets forth a solid self-defense case. For example, George Zimmerman tells this investigating officer, look, I approached Trayvon Martin, according to him, very calmly. Trayvon almost instantly punched George Zimmerman in the face, covered his nose and his mouth, told George Zimmerman, you're going to die tonight, and then, according to George Zimmerman, reached for George's gun, which was on his side in a holster. And at that point is when George Zimmerman pulled out his gun and shot one.
Now, you've been both a defense attorney and a prosecutor, correct?
Yes.
All right. So in a situation like this, what investigators look for are inconsistencies in the story. I mean, if somebody's not telling the truth, eventually some little part of it starts to come unraveled. But we've not seen that yet.
No, we have not seen that. And if you have a chance to actually watch the video, even George Zimmerman's affect, sometimes, how you can sort of tell when somebody's lying, they look away, they get a little shifty, they're, switching their feet. He doesn't do anything like that. He is very methodically going through, to the best of his ability, what happened. And he comes across as believable. And the reason why that's key is because this is a video where the prosecution, who put it into evidence, cannot cross-examine George Zimmerman on it. He got to just tell his story via the state, and nobody gets to question him or poke holes in it. That was strategically a very odd move by the people and a very big boon to the defense yesterday.
Yeah, Jonna Spilbor is our guest. She's attorney and legal analyst, and we're talking about the Zimmerman trial. And, Jonna, that was my question. I mean, I'm looking at how every single day it looks like it's the defense putting these witnesses on the stand because they're really backing up Zimmerman's case. Is the prosecution, what's going on with them? Is this all they've got?
I'm glad you asked that because I actually said on one of Fox shows, I said the state is doing a fantastic job of proving reasonable doubt. And the irony is that's not what the state's supposed to be doing. And they know their evidence ahead of time. They know before they put their star witness. I don't know if you guys got to see any of that. They put their star witness, Rachel Gentile.
Oh, yeah, we saw it.
Oh, what a nightmare for the prosecution. She was, as opposed to George Zimmerman, she was very inconsistent. She was belligerent. She was rude. I mean, I think she completely turned off the jury. Not that a jury is going to make a decision based on how well they like a witness, but likability enters into credibility.
Uh-huh.
So far, the state, I can't understand why the state is putting on the witnesses in the order they're putting them on to boot.
Let me ask you, Jonna Spilbor, a very specific question, though, about the law. State of Florida, Zimmerman faces second-degree murder charges here, not manslaughter,
right.
But second-degree murder. There was a very compelling moment in yesterday's testimony when the police officer who took the statement and interviewed Zimmerman within hours of this encounter with Trayvon Martin, where she broke the news to Zimmerman that Martin had actually died, and he seemed shocked. He seemed surprised. given that testimony. Does that call into question whether second-degree murder is an appropriate charge here, if in fact he didn't even know that Martin was killed?
That would enter into it in a small bit, but also add to that the fact that during this interview process, George Zimmerman did not appear to have a depraved heart, which is one of the elements of second-degree murder. You have to act with malice. You have to have a complete disregard for human life. And the fact that if somebody kills another person, being interviewed and suddenly realizes that happened and is sad about it, you would think that, well, where's the malice? Where's the depraved?
Right. He reflected on it. He even talked about his religion's, his interpretation of the religion's judgment on him for killing another man.
Yeah, exactly. And the police officer wasn't going easy on him. I think the police officer actually said this was a 17-year-old boy. He had parents. He had a future. You know, he was really hammering George Zimmerman, and George Zimmerman wasn't like, hey, this guy deserved it. He was contrite and sorry.
So if you were the defense attorneys here, and when the prosecution rests, would you pretty much just say, we have no further witnesses, Your Honor?
Excellent point, and here's what's going to happen. Yesterday, Mark O'Mara left the courthouse, gave an interview to Dan Abrams, and basically said he is no longer going to put George Zimmerman on the stand because of yesterday's testimony. Up until yesterday, guys, I would have bet my bottom dollar that George Zimmerman would have to take the stand to explain what was going on inside his head. Now that the video has been entered into evidence, Mark O'Mara said, no way is he putting him on the stand. I completely agree with that.
It's amazing. He basically just testified before the jury without ever having to be cross-examined because of that video. What a blunder.
And, not a very bright move by the prosecutors. Well, Jonna Spilbor, I hope you'll come back because that was really great assessment of the trial so far.
Anytime for you guys. Anytime. I'd be happy to.
All right. Well, we're going to take you up on that. Thank you very much, Jonna Spilbor, Jonna Spilbor, who is a legal analyst, and you see her on Fox News and all over the place. It's good to have you on the show.
And on Red Eye in the leg chair.
That's right.
I've seen her in